good afternoon. Today I'm very happy to welcome Mrs. Manuela Stoerzer, an actress, model, and coach, talking to us from Spain. How are you, Manuela?
I'm very well, thank you. How about you?
Fine. Thank you very much for joining the live. A pleasure to meet you. At first, I want to ask you about your studies. I've seen you have studies applied science, correct? In Germany. And tell me, how did you manage to move from your studies and practice other stuff?
So I moved from what I studied to what I'm doing now, you see?
So tell me about you did to study. Tell me, how did you enter the domain of life coaching, and what topics you are focusing on?
Well, I studied business in Germany, and I ran a business publishing company in Munich, specialized in dentistry. I took dentists all over the place for postgraduate education, and I organized seminars, published newspapers, and so on. And then I had children as well. You know, this typical life where you kind of do everything. And at some point, I was burnt out. Marriage went apart. I divorced and found myself a single mom. Found another job, half day, enough money to take care of the kids finally by myself. And however, I wasn't happy. I went to the unemployment office for the first time in my life and said, I need another job. And the way I tick right now, this is not going to work out. I need a total reset. And the lady told
Yes.
me, for people like you, we don't have money. So, because I had studies, I speak languages, I had 10 years experience and so on. So I said to her, I understand. Do you have another suggestion? And she thought a moment and went to the back, and she came back with a sheet with a lot of names on the sheet, and one name was crossed out. Turns out it was a life coaching, mental power coaching seminar. And it happened just 3 days after I was there. It started 3 days afterwards. It was 2 blocks from my home. And this is how it started. I didn't plan to become a life coach. I needed it for myself. And while I was doing this seminar for myself, another friend told me she had a personal trainer client, a VIP photographer, like really crazy. She couldn't handle that lady, she said, and I could handle that lady. And then I decided I need to share what I have learned in a way that people can make it theirs, not just convey something, but have them experience something. So my remedy was walking in nature. So I took everything I learned into nature, and this lady was my first client. And all of a sudden, I was a walking coach. I didn't plan it, it just kind of happened. So this is the way I got into life coaching, and that was in the year 2000 in Munich.
Yes, and usually you do like presentation, or you do also coaching online. I mean, talking to people
I,
online.
I do coaching online and way before COVID. However, I have people still walk in nature. So I walk in nature, they walk in nature, and we phone. It's for me, for my work, what I'm doing, it's very important to be in nature and ground your feet. I do little exercises, Alexander technique, all kinds of things, little tools to help people be present here now. It's teach them walking meditation, but it's not just a technique, it's a state of mind you want to practice more often and remember that you have it. So I do this online as well, however, outdoors. So by phone, over the phone.
Really. And I've seen you have your website, and you approach your for people to approach your services. Uh, I mean, you talk to people from different culture, I imagine, and different languages. Since you speak several languages, you've been traveling. Tell me, do you face any difficulties, to find like a doorway into people's mind, and so you can help them through your experience?
It's an interesting question because you're right. I have been living in totally different cultures also. And for me, every human being is a universe on its own. And I'm sincerely interested in this person. And I'm an empath. I can feel, and I'm very intuitive. So I can feel, and I see things and I feel things. And the questions I ask are often, you would call it channeled, meaning I often don't think about that. It just happens, or metaphors come up, and it works in different cultures. And I have been working actually in the jungle of Iquitos, to walking with a lady who was stressed out everywhere. So how do I get into people's mind? I don't really. They open up. People open up. It's. I think it's a chemistry thing. You know, it's a chemistry thing. I'm the way that I am. I'm very open, and people can feel that. They trust me. And I've been working with businessmen and women and totally stressed out people, and people were referred to me from psychologists, like serious things. For me, everybody is, let's say, kind of the same, just either more or less out of balance. And that's what I transmit as well. Like, how can you think there would be something wrong with you? It's just about getting back into balance, finding your center. And obviously, as I say that, I told you before, I got there to this work because I needed it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Tell me, Manuel, I've seen you've been doing modeling and acting. So tell me, do you have a new project to announce as a model, or an actress?
Well, I'm always doing castings and things, and then things happen or they don't. Right now, I just did a lease class for training with Rachel Bailey, which was a super lovely experience because um, it showed me that, let's say, my resources as an empath, I am very sensual and intuitive, and using this consciously can give you a better toolbox for acting. You know, before I really acted intuitively without thinking about it. I still don't think about it because when I think about it, I really mess it up. It doesn't work. But now I can use these things more consciously, and that's really interesting. In terms of modeling, modeling is not that important to me. It also just happened when I was burnt out and started as a walking coach back in 2000. I lived 3 more years in Germany, and then I moved with the kids to Spain, to Mallorca, because I figured, once you have faced death, what else can happen? I might as well live at a nice place, and the kids were thrilled about the idea. So we moved here, and I started all over again. And somebody asked me to do a photo for their database, and I didn't think much of it. Sure, why not? And then the next week, I had my first modeling gig at a golf course in Santa Ponsa with some actor from Madrid. And I thought, oh my God, what have you done? You don't know what you're doing. And then it turned out to be really fun because I can put myself in this, I am in this situation now, no? And it's fun. I'm always booked for health and lifestyle. I don't have to be somebody else for doing that. And the little roles I'm interpreting as an actress, it's also quite almost magical, because the roles I am booked for are very similar to situations of my own life. So that's exciting and super surprising all the time. It's like magic.
Yes. Tell me, Manuela, did you consider either to write a book about your experience or to do like, right now, podcasts are very popular. You do like a weekly program with your voice or audio and video, like we're talking right now on YouTube. Uh, what I think is that for you to transfer your experience to other people and people who cannot contact you or doesn't have the time to have a direct call with you.
Mhm. That's a sweet idea. In fact, I have been writing books. I won self-help books in German and a little workbook going with a self-help book, also in German language. And then I did another book explaining about healing and the different layers of healing and experiences with, yeah, throughout life. A little bit autobiographic. It's called Headless Chicken. It's published in America, like less heady.
Yes.
And it also talks about 19 ayahuasca ceremonies, which I happened to do out of the blue. Didn't plan that because I'm not really into drugs, but that's a natural thing living with shamans in the jungle out there. So I have been writing books, and I'm constantly writing or songwriting as well. So right now I'm working on another book. But the podcast idea, in fact, a colleague of mine asked me to do a podcast together with her. And yeah, she's busy right now, but actually I could get started all by myself. You're right. Yeah, it's a great
Yes.
idea.
Right now on YouTube you can do a podcast on YouTube as well. Right now, this option is already exists. You can do a voice podcast on YouTube without need to look for another platform to do the podcast. So maybe on YouTube, you can consider to do it in the future with your
Mhm.
friend as well. I want to ask you two things right now. Since you told me you have children, did you have a certain advice for your children and the future and how they can go on the road for their life based on your experience?
Well, with my children, for me as a mother, the most important thing is to be a role model, but not to be like a disciplined military guy or a super soft mega mother, but be real. And with the children, funny enough, it was easy to do that because it's very important to me. And my son, for instance, he's dyslexic and was hyperactive and ADHD, these things that kids have nowadays, right? And he wanted to be a doctor. It's not so easy to become a doctor, when it's so much reading and so much writing. And I told him at the time, if you want to be a doctor, you will be a doctor. But you have to promise me one thing, and that's the advice I would give still today. When you feel this is not any longer what I want to do, then I want you to have the courage to say, I am gonna explore something else, despite the fact that you
Mm-hmm.
have invested so much in it. That's what I think is the
Mm-hmm.
most important. Don't expect that some decision you took 20 years ago or 10 years ago is still fit for today. That would be my thing. And obviously nowadays,
the environment politics things look really, really, really bad, but I do think it's so important to own your own mind in terms of don't get influenced, don't let everybody manipulate you, uh, keep a positive outlook. I think that's the only way.
Yes. Uh, Manuela, I want to ask you finally, do you have like a dream you would like to realize in the future?
A dream. It's interesting. Yeah, I must admit, I have periods. It's not always like that, but I have periods where I wake up in the morning like a child, and I am curious about what the day brings, as if I have never lived a day like this before. But I do also have dreams. My dreams are not so specific. For instance, I would still like to build a house in a tropical country. Not to own it, but to do it as a creative project. I'm very creative. I write songs, I sing songs. I've published a few, even they are not really perfect yet. It's Spotify. So this house thing is one thing, but it's not urgent. The music is another thing. Uh, Song writing and singing, I'm investing time now into that because it gives me so much pleasure to express all the things that are in my chest. Songwriting, the lyrics come easy to me, and the music, well, so far I didn't know how to sing it. I'm learning the piano, but I am making music with whoever crosses my way and knows a little bit about music, and I want to do more of that. That's an
Great.
excellent work.
Ma- Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Um, yeah, other than this, it's very important to me that everyday life to be truthful with myself, which is not always the case. Sometimes I get lost and I get manipulated without noticing. And then at some point, I wake up and feel it, and then kind of start all over again in terms
Yes.
of phoenix rising from the ashes. And it
Yes.
seems to be like that. So it's life, right? But I do have a positive outlook. So for me, this everyday life, that's the most important thing. It's great to have dreams and hope for your dreams, but it's most important for me to live every day a good life,
And that means being present in the here now and not rushing around all the time and not hunting, chasing all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Manuela, I want to thank you very, very much for this lovely interview. And I wish you all the best, in your practice as a coach and model, actress, author. And I look forward to have you again if you have a new project to announce or a new book release.
okay?
Thank you very much. Well,
I do have one thing I forgot. I am planning a seminar in Cyprus end of the year, but it's not quite.
the date is not clear yet. It's going to be on Aphrodite Beach in Cyprus, together with a lady called Margit Gubella, and she does readings and she's teaching about the Aphrodite energy, and I do the healthy living, being present here now part.
Best wishes, and thank you again. I wish you a lovely afternoon in Spain. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.